This week on the Four Rivers Ag Report, we got rain, we got cooler. Did we get a break? The Four Rivers Crop Report boys are back to tell us. All that and more on the Four Rivers Ag Report. Welcome to the Four Rivers Ag Report. I'm Fred Peralta. We have a lot to get through today with the crop survey and all, but first I'd like to take a moment to talk about the swine flu cases in Coles County. With the hindsight that time provides, it appears we've moved from a panic response that we saw several years ago to a more reasoned approach. Yes, there are cases out there and we need to be careful, but the best approach appears to be vigilant. That, and as my mother would say, wash your hands often and every time after dealing with animals. As for producers, just keep an extra eye out there on those animals that may be a little bit less piggy. And with that, it's time for our news with our own little pig slopper, Monica Becker. Monica?
I'm Monica Becker. As Fred mentioned, the cooler temperature and a little bit of rain was welcomed by everyone, and several agricultural meteorologists say it may have just saved the day. According to Andy Karst, a meteorologist for World Weather Inc., the rain and cooler temps have come at a time that will either boost yields, particularly in soybeans, or at least given the crops more time to wait for some rain. Karst says the weather shouldn't be terrible for crops, but we're on the edge with a moisture deficit due to the lack of soaking rains. That opinion isn't unanimous. The Commodity Weather Group said on Wednesday that the light rain was too sparse to ease the drought stress, and the portion of the Midwest under stress could still expand by up to 10%. The USDA's Brad Rippey says that some areas of the country could see some drought relief soon, but the main drought areas around the country will not.
The only good news in the short term is that we could see some relief across the northern fringe drought areas. I think really from the Dakotas stretching eastward through the Great Lakes region, could see some fairly favorable rainfall the next couple of weeks. And on top of that, temperatures are going to stay down a little bit across the northern part of the Corn Belt. But for some of the core drought areas in the southern Corn Belt, back through the Mid-South and into the plains, especially the southern plains, there is really no relief in sight, and in fact I think things will continue to go downhill in some of those core drought areas the next few weeks.
The USDA's crop report came out last Friday, and guess what? It isn't looking pretty. The 2012 Illinois corn crop is expected to yield 116 bushels per acre, down 41 bushels from last year's yield. This could be the lowest Illinois corn yield since 1995. Soybeans yield is also to be lower than last year. The 2012 soybean crop in Illinois is expected to yield 37 bushels per acre, 10 bushels below last year's yield. Our district, the East Southeast, is projected to have an average yield of 80 bushels per acre of corn compared to the 145.5 bushels last year and 31 bushels in beans as compared to 43.3 last year. And as if you didn't have enough to worry about, do you have a spare tire on your tractor? Seed companies are very proud of the high-yielding, genetically modified crops that can stand a wide assortment of hazards, including tractor tires. Some farmers are finding that the tougher stalks are puncturing tires and causing farm equipment to be stranded in the field. A Grinnell, Iowa farmer said tire damage from the prior season's GM corn and soybean stalks caused multiple tire problems. Nationally, farmers are finding that tires that should last 5 or 6 years are lasting only 1 or 2 seasons. The answer? How about a bulletproof tire? Tire manufacturers are toying with the idea of reinforcing their tires with Kevlar, the same thing used in ballistic vests and combat helmets. If this continues, next thing you know, farmers could be asking for combat pay. That's it for this week. I'm Monica Becker. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, Monica. Now for a report from the trenches, or at least the furrows. It's our Four Rivers crop survey. First off is Cam Brown from Edgar County. And Cam, how's it going? Did you get some rain?
We did. We were fortunate enough to get about 1.5 inches the first time and 3/10 to a half inch the second time within 24-hour period. Very, very welcome.
So was it too late for the corn, but not too late for the beans?
You know, I know a lot of guys say it's too late for the corn, but we were still in the dough stage, and I really think anytime that there's still juices flowing through that plant back and forth through the seed. That rain will help set maybe a little more test weight and give the plant just a little more health rather than just dying. Has time to mature naturally, so that's got to help. And we're very fortunate to still be able to take advantage of that.
So do you think it's going to help your yield?
Not a lot. I think it'll help maintain what yields out there rather than it drying up and the kernels shrinking back, shriveling up.
Okay, so on your bean crop, how does that looking?
Well, beans are a really hardy plant. And it's been amazing what I've seen them do in the month of August if they get timely rains.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly a timely rain. I'd heard unofficially of a crop tour here in Edgar County. They stayed north of Route 16 and just stayed on the good parts, and they thought this would average 80 bushel corn and 20 bushel beans.
Get out of here.
Rain. And they're probably not too far wrong, but I'm hoping the beans might actually double that 20 bushel, but that may be wishful thinking. We'll just have to see.
So is there anybody around you who is going to getting ready to harvest what they got?
Well, I believe most of it's going to come at the very last part of August, if they do, and maybe the 1st of September. We've been very fortunate and had some pretty green-looking crops for some reason. That just soils, I guess, is all I can accredit it to. And so I think we're a little later in the game than a lot of areas, especially south of us, of course.
So the news of our demise is greatly exaggerated.
Well, no. These crops are damaged. And, you know, when we're usually wanting to talk about 200 bushel yields on corn, I think this year guys are going to be talking about 100 bushel yields and being happy with it.
Mm-hmm.
So if they can get it, so we'll see.
Okay, well, thank you, Cam.
Thanks, Fred.
And now we go to Shelby County and Matt Bennett. And Matt, you've been talking to a lot of your friends and neighbors, haven't you?
Yep, been doing a lot of meetings, working with guys, do a little bit of commodity brokerage work as well as farm. So been talking to people about their specific situations and how this year's situation is different really than any of them that we've ever experienced. And, you know, everyone's in a little bit different situation this year. I think that a lot of guys are still going to make decent money even though there's been a drought. So that's good to know.
So what are you seeing around the area as far as crops go?
You know, we've gotten a fair amount of rain here in the last 2 weeks. We're probably at 3.5 inches, I would say, over the last 2 weeks.
Wow.
So that gave us a real boost to our beans here locally. Now, not everywhere that we farmed did we get that, but around the house we were able to get about that much. And, you know, the corn, it kind of greened up the plant just a little bit, but I don't think that it's going to do a whole lot to it. You know, it's definitely not going to help the yield any. We've actually started harvesting a little bit, and the corn looks like it's going to be kind of in the neighborhood of where we thought it might be, in that 100 to 120 bushel an acre.
Okay.
That's late March planted corn, and I presume it'll be our best corn.
So most of your corn is already dented?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, how about the beans? Did the rain help the beans?
Yeah, definitely the rain helped the beans. It looked like the pots that we had with a whole lot better chance of filling out fairly decent. And, you know, it looked to me like we had a few blooms setting on there last week. And we definitely had more pods on our pod count this week whenever we went out and counted than what we did, you know, like 10 days ago. So I don't think the rain has hurt us by any means. Probably added, you know, maybe 5 to 10 bushel yield.
Pretty much think you're going to be hitting what you thought you were going to hit. Well, you said about 116?
Yeah, between 100 to 120, just depends on that March planted stuff. When you get into the April planted, from what we've seen, it doesn't appear that it's going to be near as good, especially on some of the lighter ground. You know, we're probably looking at the potential on some of our lighter ground that was planted in April of not making maybe anything. So we're going to have a wide range of yields, I think. But the best corn that we're going to pick, I believe, is going to be that late March planted.
Okay. Well, thank you, Matt.
Thanks, Brad.
Now to Coles County and Bill Upoff near Mattoon. Bill, how's it looking?
We're enjoying the last few showers we had come through.
How much rain did you get?
All in all, we've had 2 inches since I've talked to you last.
Okay, that's 2 inches of needed rain. So how are things shaping up with that?
Well, the beans seem to be responding still, so that's our bright ray of hope this week for sure.
And the corn is pretty much done, do you think?
Yes, it is.
So has it dented, or are you thinking about, and what's the moisture level like?
I've got ears in the truck right now, as a matter of fact, to go to the elevator and test. I've heard a lot in the 20s yet from neighbors. We probably, with the condition of the stalks of the corn, we'd probably consider picking if it was 19 or under.
Right.
At this point, even though we've got good drying days, we just hate to risk having a field fall flat.
Mm-hmm. So with the heavy downpour, did you have any crop damage?
We have not.
Okay.
Thank goodness, yeah.
After this year, who'd have thought we'd have to worry about that?
Right.
So
right.
How you say your beans are looking good? What are they? Are they budding? Are they pods filling out?
You bet. Yeah. In fact, I guess what's probably the biggest turnaround is instead of the plants actually shedding their pods and blooms, now they're holding on to what they have, and actually looks like we're going to have something to harvest there now.
So what do you think? I mean, it's tough to guess until you get in and you see how heavy the ears are, but what do you think your bushel's going to be like?
On corn, I'm just real hopeful that our whole farm can average 85.
That's about what the state is. The USDA said the state average is going to be.
And like I say, that may be wishful thinking, but that's my hope today.
Well, okay. And any other problems? Any pests go? Did the rain drive away the spider mites?
Well, not necessarily. What it does, though, is just lets that bean get enough life to that the stress of the spider mites just doesn't become an issue anymore. They're still there, yes. Yes.
Not the end of them. Okay. Well, thank you, Bill.
You bet.
And now to Effingham County and Todd Wachtel. And Todd, how much rain did you say you got?
Between 3 and 4 inches over the last week or 10 days. So that's more than we've had, the 2.5 months prior to that.
yeah. So you had to learn how to drive through rain again, eh?
Well, looking around though, it's not like there's any water standing. It all either ran off or soaked in. But
yeah, absolutely.
Much needed. Much appreciated.
So what has that done for your crops?
I don't think it does anything for the corn crop per se, but the bean crop, I don't know. I don't know what it'll do. It'll vary based on the maturity of the beans. The early beans were starting to turn down here already. It's probably, it might plump those in the pods a little bit, but the later beans I think are going to maybe set a bunch of pods on top of the plant, and that can add 5 to 10 bushel if they fill out.
So what were you thinking about? I know it's too early to really get a good idea on bushels and beans, but what were you thinking about before and after the rain?
Well, we had a chance to make almost probably, in that 10 bushel range before, and because I think we were going to continue to abort pods.
Mm-hmm.
Now I think we're going to hold those, and if we set a few more, I don't know that we can't average 25 or 30 now, but it's so hard to tell on beans.
It's so hard to tell on beans. You're right. And your corn is looking sad despite the rain?
Yeah. It's looking, because where there were no ears, there still aren't any ears after the rain. So,
yeah, you can't grow ears out of nothing.
We'll know a little bit more of that tomorrow. I think we're going to go out and try to shell a little bit of corn. We've been hand shelling some ears and finding some down in that 20 range, and so anxious to get out there and see if aflatoxin is going to be a problem, and see how long we can shell without dumping the combine and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So, how are any of the neighbors harvesting or plowing up?
None of our close neighbors are, but I've heard some within 10 or 12 miles away that are harvesting, and they are finding some aflatoxins. So, finding a way to deal with this through your elevator and your insurance company is, just trying to find the logistics of how it should work and how it's going to flow smoothly is.
Yeah, as if you guys didn't have enough to worry about, and you got aflatoxin now.
Well, I'm hoping we don't.
Well, somebody does.
Like we probably will, yeah.
You know. So, when do you think you're going to be doing some serious field work?
It all depends on what we find tomorrow. If we get out there and, if it's anything below 25%, we'll probably continue at it.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got a field that's only going to average 15 or 20 bushels per acre, you're not drying very many bushels.
That's true.
No matter how wet it is.
That's true. Well, thank you, Todd.
Thanks, Fred.
Cumberland County has much to be proud of, but none more so than Leroy Scott. Leroy, did you get the rain the other guys are reporting?
We have. This month has been almost plenty of rain. Not really, but we've had rain to go. We're a little bit over 3 inches for the month of August, and the beans have taken second growth, and they're not going to be up to par, but at least we're going to have something. Where before this rain, we wasn't sure we was going to have anything.
Something got some at least worth starting up the combine, right?
Right. Yeah, there's going to be. I don't know. I'm guessing the beans are going to run maybe in the mid-20s. Maybe I'm wrong about that. It's hard to guess on beans.
Okay, so how do your corn? I mean, the corn still look really bad.
Corn's pretty well shot. I don't know. I'm saying we're looking at a lot of in 30 to 60 bushel range. I think is going to catch most of the corn.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it may be a little worse than that. Some may be a little bit better, but it's not very good.
So some folks have been seeing aflatoxin. Have you seen anything like that around there?
We haven't seen any, but I'm sure we got it. It seems like we always have it when it's dry, and we don't know there's a lot of up in the air about the corn, whether we're going to be able to sell it or what to do with it, and hopefully we'll be able to get it to an elevator that will take it to where they make ethanol, and it doesn't matter in ethanol, but as far as the food grade or the feed, for the livestock, I just don't know. We won't know that until we get into it.
So what does the moisture look like in your corn?
It's dented, and we haven't retested any, but I'd say it'll be within 2 to 3 weeks. We'll probably be picking some.
Well, good luck with that, sir, and let's hope you get enough rain to keep the beans going and not enough to keep you out of the field to get your corn.
Okay, I appreciate that.
And now to Champaign County is my shy retiring wallflower, Bob Stahan. And Bob, first of all, did you get any of the rain everybody else seemed to got?
Fred, it's been pretty faint around here. Although I guess if we go back to the beginning of the growing season, we may have been one of the wetter areas. But I think that coupled with the heat and maybe mainly the heat have caused the shortfall in production that we have.
So,
as of recent, I think I would be safe to say we've had about an inch in the last 10 days.
So you have a little bit less than the guys down south had. How is that helping? Is it helping? Well, of course it's helping.
Well,
but the beans in particular.
I think you have to consider what we may have been able to do, not just our own operation here, but what people in general have done to try to take advantage of the rain, and that is to preserve plant health. And by that, I'm talking about the soybeans, where you used a fungicide and an insecticide to help the soybeans get through the stress when we were having 100-degree temperatures. And with that in mind, I think a fungicide definitely has helped preserve some plant health. That coupled with planting dates, which for us was a little bit later, along with the maturity of the bean, which is a Group 3, a full-season bean, I believe that the rain is going to help. But I've already heard of a horror story in bean harvest out of a plot at 9.5 bushels.
No.
Yes, absolutely.
That's hardly worth starting the combine.
Well, that's true. But, along those lines, I'm hearing the same kind of stories with corn yields.
So
some of the estimates that have been used were certainly a hip shot with the test weight, kernel size, and that seems to be the big factor that's dragging yields in most cases a lot lower than the estimates.
So what are you hearing per bushel an acre?
Well, I'm just hearing things that are all over the board. Estimates from insurance adjusters that were in a 2.5 range. I mean, I guess that's one of the lower ones. Yields that were in the 80s and 90s that people had expected to be higher.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm hearing that some of the earlier planted corn might have more potential than the later planted corn. But I have a neighbor who is harvesting corn, and I think he's finding that the yields are maybe about what he expected, but still considerably less than what we have had as a 5-year average.
Yeah, so seed companies won't be bragging about this bush.
No.
Yeah.
I don't think there's going to be much bragging going on. I also am finding out that a lot of people that have either been out walking fields or have been out harvesting are finding standability issues.
Mm-hmm.
The stalk died, and it's just going to continue to weaken because it's been cannibalized. So therefore, any kind of wind at all, which we may expect tomorrow with that storm that's coming through, could certainly put it down.
So any aflatoxin noticed in the fields?
I have not heard of any, although there is concern that some of the moisture patterns that are coming in may help create the aflatoxin.
Mm-hmm.
It thrives with some moisture, as I understand. And of course, it's been a long time, 24 years since we've had to deal with it.
Something to hang on to, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're doing a lot of hanging on this year, haven't we, Bob?
I think everybody has. And, of course, the thing that is still a constant concern is that if this thing follows the pattern of NOAA weather people are talking about, it may be October before it's over. And if it is, we're going to carry forward such a deficit into 2013. We're most likely going to be influenced again in another year.
Well, let's hope El Nino moves out.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
That's a pleasant thought. We're optimists, so let's go with what's optimistic.
Well, okay. Well, I tell you what, you keep being optimistic, and I'll talk to you in about a month.
Okay. Great.
Hey, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Fred.
And last but certainly not least is Shelby County's Tim Lenz. Tim is reporting from the cabin of his combine. Tim, what are you seeing?
Well, about what we thought. This is the first day we kind of ventured out to do a little bit, and right now I'm stopped, and I've shelled 10 acres, and my yield is showing 63.
63 per acre?
Yeah, that's kind of about what we thought.
Now, is that early corn or is that later corn?
That is early corn, so we're probably going to go downhill from here, yes. This actually was planted like March 20th.
So that is early corn.
Yeah, it's still not real dry, 22, 23, but it didn't mature real well. It kind of just died, and then kind of got a rain here, and so then now what was living kind of almost greened back up, the plant did, so I don't know if that's holding some kernel moisture or not. But,
so how much rain did you guys? How much rain did you guys get?
Well, about I guess it'd be 2 weeks, close to 2 weeks ago. It was on a Thursday. That Thursday, we got like 1.5 inches, and then about a week later we got 4/10, and then a couple days ago we got another 4/10.
So so it's too late for the corn. How do the beans look?
Well, they look better. They're at least not going to die, which they're
a pretty low hurdle across there, bud.
Yeah, on some light spots they were are permanently damaged. Well, they're permanently damaged all over, but they almost were dead.
Mm-hmm.
So at least they put a few pods on, so now at least they'll fill those, and there are a few more blooms at the top on some later beans. I had some earlier maturing beans that they were about probably won't flower anymore, but no, it just makes you feel better. The grass has kind of greened up a little better, but then you get back to the reality when you get into the cornfield and realize what the summer of heat and dryness did. But we knew that was coming.
Yeah.
So it's kind of just a finality of it all. You just kind of want to get it out and get it over with.
So it's like watching a slow motion train wreck, right?
Exactly.
So have you seen any? I've heard of rumors of some aflatoxin in some corn. Have you been seeing any of that?
Well, in fact, we just took the first load to town, and the driver hasn't gotten back. What I was hearing, some of the earlier corn was fairly low. I'm afraid, though, that that rain was almost, even though it didn't help the corn, it maybe did provide some moisture to grow some aflatoxin. So that might not be a good scenario. It might actually be worse now from that. rain, but someone a lot smarter than me could tell us that. But just kind of in past experience and kind of reading some things, it seems like you need a dry period, of course, which we had, and then maybe with some rain to grow it. Then, if it would have stayed dry, I think maybe it wouldn't have been as much trouble as maybe it will now. But
right. You're in the field. How long do you think you're going to be in?
Just probably today.
Just today on this field, and then.
Yeah, I planted a few little patches there early, and then I actually was in some corn this morning that we planted there March 30th. We planted pretty hard March 30th, like through April, first week of April, and it was 26 to 28%.
Well, very good. Thank you, Tim.
It appears we've aged from horrible to slightly less horrible. I want to thank all of our crop survey guys for their time and attention, and hang in there. The season is almost over. On a programming note, at the end of the growing season, we'll be having all of our crop reporters in studio for the Growers Roundtable. Details coming soon. Well, that's it for this week. Work hard, be safe, and enjoy the beautiful sunsets. I'm Fred Peralta, and thanks for watching the Four Rivers Ag Report.